All right, so ChatGPT, everybody's talking about it, right? But how do you actually use it to create, like, really good social media content?
Well, that's what we're diving into today with this COURSERA project, ChatGPT 4.0 for beginners. It's cool because they don't just tell you how to use it, they show you how to use it effectively.
That's what I like, getting into the nitty-gritty. So are we going to meet this instructor, Jonathan Kyle Hobson? What's he all about?
Yeah, Hobson's great. He calls himself a prompt architect, which I gotta say, sounds way more official than just user.
Right. Like, sign me up for that job title. But seriously, prompt architect, what's that all about?
So, Hobson believes that the key to unlocking ChatGPT's power is all about crafting really, really good prompts. Like, it's not just about having a casual chat with the AI.
It's about giving it the right instructions to get what you actually want.
Right. Exactly. And the way he teaches it, it just clicks. He started out as a content creator himself, just like, trying to up his game. And now he's all about making AI work for everyone.
I love that. So he's like a ChatGPT whisperer, helping us understand its language.
Exactly. And one of the things he emphasizes is that AI, ChatGPT, it's not here to replace us content creators. It's here to enhance, to be a collaborator.
Like a super-powered brainstorming buddy.
Exactly. Okay, so to make things super practical, this project sets up this scenario where you're the social media manager for this like charming little coffee shop called Brew Bliss.
Okay, I already hooked. I love a good coffee shop scenario. So walk me through it. What's the challenge?
So Brew Bliss wants to, boost their online presence, get more customers in the door, and your job is to make that happen. But you're going to use ChatGPT to help you craft engaging posts, maybe run some ads.
This is great because it's so relatable, right? Everyone's on social media these days, so I'm already thinking about how I can apply this to, like, my own stuff.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Do I need to be a tech wizard to understand any of this?
Okay, I won't lie. That thought did cross my mind.
And the answer is absolutely not. Hobson makes it clear that you don't need to be a coder or programmer or anything like that.
Phew, that's a relief.
Right. He walks you through using ChatGPT, even the differences between the free and paid versions, which is super helpful.
Okay, so no coding degree required. Got it.
Mm.
So let's talk about these prompts, because that seems to be where the magic happens. Where do we even start?
Right. So forget about typing in vague stuff like write a post about coffee. That's like setting yourself up for mediocrity.
Yeah, you'll get something, but it's not going to be good, right?
Exactly. To get those amazing results, you got to give ChatGPT context. It's all about the details.
Paint me a picture. What kind of details are we talking about?
Okay, so with our Brew Bliss example, you'd think about their brand identity. Are they like cozy and community focused or maybe more modern and minimalist? You got to tell ChatGPT that.
Right, because that's going to influence the whole vibe of the content. What else?
Then you factor in the specific product you're promoting. Is it a new seasonal latte, a discount on their loyalty program, a community event? Get specific.
Okay, so we're talking about the what, the who, the why, all those good details.
Yes. And don't forget the tone. Do you want it friendly and approachable? Maybe a little bit quirky or even sophisticated and elegant? ChatGPT needs to know.
So it's like giving ChatGPT a creative brief before it even starts writing.
You got it. And what's amazing is that Hobson shows you how these little tweaks, these details, they drastically change what ChatGPT comes up with.
So instead of getting a bland, generic post, I'm getting something that's actually tailored to Brew Bliss's unique voice and style.
Exactly. It's all about making it their own. And to do that, Hobson introduces these awesome prompting techniques. He calls them tools for your toolkit.
Okay, I'm ready to upgrade my toolkit. Hit me with these techniques.
So the first one is called example prompting. Basically, you show ChatGPT what you want by giving it, well, examples.
Oh, I like that. Show, don't tell.
Right. Like if you want a certain writing style, give it a snippet of text that embodies that style.
So ChatGPT can analyze that and be like, okay, I see what you're going for here.
Exactly. It's like giving it a mood board for words. Then there's keyword prompting. This one's all about using specific words that relate to your desired outcome.
So like if I want to emphasize Brew Bliss's locally roasted coffee, I'd sprinkle in words like local, community, maybe even sustainable.
You got it. Those keywords act like little signals, guiding ChatGPT's focus. And finally, there's goal prompting, where you clearly state what you want to achieve.
So instead of write a post, I'd be like, write an Instagram caption that makes people crave a pumpkin spice latte.
Exactly. Be direct, be specific. The clearer your goal, the better ChatGPT can deliver.
I love how these techniques are so, like, strategic. It's not just about hoping for the best. It's about being intentional with our words.
Absolutely. And the best part is you can mix and batch these techniques, find what works best for you. It's all about developing your own communication style with ChatGPT.
So I've got my toolkit, I've crafted my prompt, ChatGPT gives me back some content. Am I done? Is that it?
Oh, we're just getting started. Remember that word, iteration. The first draft is just the beginning.
Okay, tell me more about this iteration thing. I'm intrigued.
Think of it like sculpting. You start with a basic shape, and then you refine, you chisel away, you add details until it becomes like a masterpiece.
And ChatGPT is our tireless assistant in this sculpting process.
Precisely. So let's say you get that first draft of like an Instagram caption for Brew Bliss's new latte. It's good, but it's missing that certain something.
It needs a little more flavor, a little more spice.
Exactly. So you go back to ChatGPT and you give it more guidance. Maybe you ask it to emphasize the cozy atmosphere of the shop or the fact that they use locally roasted beans.
So it's about working with the AI, not just expecting it to magically create the perfect thing on the first try.
100%. And this is where things get really interesting with multi-prompt strategies. Instead of just one prompt, you use a sequence of prompts or even parallel prompts to take your content to the next level.
Okay, now you've officially blown my mind. Multi-prompt strategies, I need details.
We're going to dive deep into those after a quick break, but let me just say, things are about to get next level awesome. Stay tuned. So before the break, we were getting really strategic with these prompting techniques, but now let's kick things up a notch. We're going to get into multi-prompt strategies, right?
Yeah, multi-prompt strategies. You made it sound so mysterious. Tell me everything.
Okay, imagine you're like building a house, right? You wouldn't just dump a pile of bricks and wood on a lot and expect a house to magically appear, would you?
Definitely not. You need a plan, a blueprint, some serious construction skills.
Exactly. And that's what sequential prompting is all about. It's like building your content step by step, adding layers of detail with each prompt.
Okay, so instead of one massive prompt that tries to do everything at once, I'm breaking it down into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Right. Like with our Brewbliss example, you might start with a prompt like, write an Instagram post announcing Brewbliss's new loyalty program.
Okay, pretty straightforward. Then what?
Then you give it another prompt to add more detail. Maybe emphasize how the loyalty program rewards customers for their love of coffee.
I like it. So each prompt builds on the previous one, adding depth and nuance.
Exactly. You're basically guiding ChatGPT through the creative process, step by step, like you're building a house. Now, imagine you want to explore different angles or styles for your content. That's where parallel prompting comes in.
Ooh, parallel prompting. This sounds even more powerful.
It is. Think of it like having multiple versions of ChatGPT working on your content simultaneously, each exploring a different path.
So instead of just one idea, I'm getting multiple perspectives, multiple options.
Exactly. And the best part is you get to be the editor, the curator. You look at all these different versions and you pick out the best elements, the phrases you love, the ideas that resonate. Hobson calls it apple picking, and I kind of love that.
I love that too. It's like having a buffet of creative options.
Yeah. Exactly. And by combining those best bits, you create one amazing final product. Now, with all these prompts flying around, things can get confusing, right?
Oh, yeah. My brain's already starting to feel a little overloaded.
Totally. Organization is key. Hobson recommends using what he calls delimiters in your prompts.
It's delimiters. I'm not familiar with that term. Break it down for me.
Sure. It's just a fancy way of saying separators. Like you can use different symbols or even specific words to clearly distinguish between your prompts and ChatGPT's responses.
Oh, okay. So it's like creating visual cues so I don't get lost in a sea of text.
Exactly. Makes everything super clear both for you and for ChatGPT. It's all about making that interaction as smooth and efficient as possible.
It's like you're establishing a clear line of communication.
Right. And as you get comfortable with these multi-prompt techniques, you can start exploring even more advanced stuff, like chain of thought reasoning and tree of thought reasoning.
Okay, those sound intense. I feel like I need to prepare myself mentally for this.
They're definitely next level, but they're built on the same principles we've been talking about. Being strategic with your prompts and guiding ChatGPT toward the outcomes you want.
Intriguing. So break it down for me. What are chain of thought reasoning and tree of thought reasoning?
Let's imagine you're trying to explain something complex to a friend, right? Like why Brew Bliss's new loyalty program is going to be a hit. You wouldn't just blurt out the conclusion, would you?
No way. I'd walk them through it, connect the dots, maybe give them some examples.
Exactly. And that's what chain of thought prompting does. Instead of asking ChatGPT a broad question, you guide it through a series of smaller connected prompts.
So it's like I'm having a conversation with ChatGPT, leading it down a path of logical reasoning.
Exactly. Each prompt acts like a stepping stone, building on the previous one, until you arrive at a more thoughtful and nuanced answer.
So instead of just saying, why is this loyalty program awesome? I break it down. Like first, what are the benefits of a loyalty program for coffee lovers?
Perfect. Then you might ask, how does Brew Bliss's loyalty program stand out from the competition? You're basically teaching ChatGPT to think more deeply about the topic.
Okay, I'm starting to see how powerful this could be. It's like I'm training ChatGPT to think more like a human, considering different angles and drawing connections.
Exactly. Now, if chain of thought is like following a path, tree of thought is like exploring a branching tree with all its different possibilities.
Whoa, okay, this sounds even more mind-bending.
It's about encouraging ChatGPT to explore multiple lines of reasoning simultaneously. Like, what are the pros and cons of this approach versus that approach? What are the potential outcomes if we go in this direction versus that direction?
So instead of just one solution, I'm getting a whole spectrum of possibilities.
Exactly. And that's incredibly valuable because it helps you make more informed decisions. You're not just limited to one narrow path, you're considering a wider range of options.
It's like having ChatGPT brainstorm with itself, exploring all those what-if scenarios.
Exactly. Now, I know this might seem like a lot to wrap your head around.
Just a little bit, but also it's super exciting.
Right. And that's the thing about this whole world of AI and ChatGPT. It's constantly evolving. There's always something new to learn. But the key is to not get overwhelmed. Start with the basics, experiment, and gradually incorporate these more advanced techniques into your workflow.
It's like learning any new skill. You got to start with the fundamentals before you can compose a symphony, right?
Exactly. And over time, you'll develop that intuition, that feel for what works and what doesn't.
This has been such a mind-blowing deep dive into the world of prompting. But it seems like there's even more to uncover. What else do we want to touch on?
Well, besides these awesome techniques, we have prompting frameworks that can be super helpful too. Think of them like blueprints for crafting effective prompts.
Okay, prompting frameworks.
Mm.
I'm all ears. Tell me everything.
Okay, so we were talking about prompting frameworks, right? And think of them like, I guess like blueprints for your prompts, yeah.
Okay, prompting frameworks is blueprints. I like that. So they give me a structure, a plan to follow.
Exactly. They help you make sure you're covering all the bases, giving ChatGPT everything it needs to like really knock it out of the park.
Okay, so less about using a pre-written prompt and more about having like a mental checklist to make sure my prompts are clear and give ChatGPT what it needs.
You got it. And there's a bunch of different frameworks out there, but one that Hobson really emphasizes is called RACCCA. Okay, that one's going to take a second to stick in my brain. What does it stand for?
So RACCCA stands for relevancy, accuracy, completeness, clarity, coherence, and appropriateness. It's a mouthful, I know, but bear with me. 6 things to keep in mind. All right, I'm ready. Break it down for me.
Okay, so relevancy, pretty self-explanatory, right? You want to make sure that ChatGPT's response actually like answers your prompt, that it's on topic, not going off on some random tangent.
Makes sense. Stay focused, ChatGPT, stay focused. What about accuracy?
Accuracy is all about making sure the information ChatGPT gives you is actually, correct. Double check those facts.
Fact-checking is always a good idea, especially with AI. All right, what's next? Completeness.
Yeah. So completeness means making sure ChatGPT's response is like thorough, that it doesn't leave out any important details.
Right, we want the full picture, not just a sliver. Okay, clarity, that one seems pretty important too.
Totally. Clarity is all about making sure ChatGPT's response is easy to understand, written in a way that like makes sense for whoever's going to be reading it.
Right, whether it's a social media post or an email or whatever, clarity is key. Okay, 2 more. Coherence and appropriateness.
So coherence means that ChatGPT's response is well organized. The ideas flow logically. You don't want it to be all over the place.
We want that nice flow, that logical progression of ideas. And finally, appropriateness.
Appropriateness is about making sure the tone and the content are a good fit for the situation.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't use the same tone for a Brew Bliss Instagram post as you would for like a formal email, right?
Totally. Context is everything. So with this RACCA framework, I'm basically evaluating ChatGPT's output on all these different levels.
Exactly. It's like having a quality control checklist to make sure your AI-generated content is top-notch.
I love it. It's so like systematic, which my brain really appreciates. Okay, so that's RACCA. What other frameworks are out there?
Another one that's super useful, especially if you're creating content that needs to like connect with people on a human level, is CLEAR.
Clear. Okay, tell me more about this one. I'm intrigued.
So CLEAR stands for clarity, length, empathy, actionability, and relevance.
Okay, we've got clarity again, which makes sense, but then length, empathy, actionability, relevance. This seems like it's really geared towards creating content that, like, resonates emotionally.
You got it. It's especially helpful when you're using ChatGPT for things like customer service, where you need to be understanding and provide clear guidance.
Okay, I'm seeing the value here. So walk me through clear element by element.
Sure thing. So clarity, we already touched on that one. It's all about being clear and concise, making sure your message gets across. Length is pretty straightforward. Do you need a short and sweet response or something more detailed?
Right, because sometimes you just want a quick answer, and sometimes you need a more in-depth explanation. Okay, what about empathy? This one really stands out to me.
Absolutely. Empathy is huge when you're dealing with people's feelings, right? So with ChatGPT, you can actually instruct it to respond with empathy.
Wait, really? So I can say something like, respond to this customer complaint with empathy.
You got it. And it actually works. It'll change its tone, be more understanding and considerate in its response.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like you're teaching ChatGPT emotional intelligence. Okay, what about actionability?
Actionability is all about making sure ChatGPT's response gives people clear next steps, tells them what to do with the information.
So not just information, but guidance as well.
Exactly. And finally, relevance, which we talked about with RACCA, making sure ChatGPT stays on topic and doesn't go off on a tangent.
All right, got to keep it laser focused. So we've got RGCCA and CLEAR. Any other prompting frameworks I should know about?
There's one more that's really helpful, especially for social media, the COURSERA framework.
CoStar. This is going to help me make my social media content shine, right?
You will.
Ah.
COURSERA stands for context, objectives, style, tone, audience, and response.
Okay, I'm already loving the sound of this one. It seems super comprehensive.
It is. It's about giving ChatGPT a really detailed roadmap for the content you want. So with context, you're setting the scene, giving ChatGPT all the background information it needs. Objective is all about defining your goal. What are you trying to achieve with this content? Are you informing, persuading, entertaining?
Right, like what's the purpose of this post, this caption, this tweet?
Exactly. Then you've got style and tone. Style is more about the overall voice and personality. Like, is it formal, informal, playful, serious? And tone is about the emotional feel. Is it upbeat, inspirational, maybe a bit more serious or reflective?
Ah, I see the distinction. Style is the overall vibe, and tone is the emotional layer. What's next?
Next up is audience. This one's super important for social media, right? You got to know who you're talking to, what are their interests, what do they care about?
Right, because a post that resonates with Gen Z coffee lovers might not land the same way with, like, busy professionals.
Exactly. Know your audience. And finally, response. This is where you specify the format and length. Are we talking about a tweet, an Instagram caption, a blog post?
Okay, so with CoStar, I'm literally giving ChatGPT a creative brief before it even starts writing. I love it. It's like having a secret weapon for amazing social media content.
It's about setting both you and ChatGPT up for success. Now remember, all these frameworks, they're not set in stone. You can adapt them, combine elements, find what works best for you. The important thing is to have a structure, a plan of attack.
This whole deep dive has been incredible. I feel like you've given me so many tools and strategies to take my ChatGPT game to the next level. But one thing that really struck me is how much emphasis Hobson puts on the human element in all of this.
Oh, absolutely. He's all about what he calls the 3 C's. Critical thinking, creative thinking, and compassionate thinking.
The 3 C's. Okay, I am so here for this. Tell me more.
So critical thinking means, like, don't just blindly accept everything ChatGPT spits out. Question it. Double check the facts. Make sure it aligns with your values.
Right, because we're the ones in control here. ChatGPT is a tool, not a dictator.
Exactly. Then there's creative thinking. Don't be afraid to play with ChatGPT. Experiment. See what happens when you push the boundaries. You might be surprised by the results.
I love that. Using AI as a springboard for our own creativity.
Exactly. And finally, compassionate thinking. Remember, at the end of the day, we're using this technology to connect with other human beings. Let's use it to build bridges, to foster understanding.
Such an important reminder. It's about infusing AI with our own empathy and humanity.
Well said. Wow, this whole conversation has been so eye-opening. I feel like I've learned a whole new language, a whole new way of thinking about AI. I'm so glad to hear that. It's an exciting time to be a creator, that's for sure.
It really is. And to our listener, thank you for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the world of ChatGPT and content creation. Remember, this is just the beginning. There's so much more to explore, so stay curious, keep experimenting, and who knows what amazing things you will create. Until next time.